Another chilly night, but we also are looking at the calendar knowing that 2025 is almost wrapping up. Here's another great view thanks to our SkyTrack network of cameras observing some of that very small light downtown traffic in the bottom right-hand corner by the KFC Yum Center, but love to see the holiday lighting across our skyline. Also, appreciate you all checking in as we're starting, again, a little bit of a later live stream on these last few days of the calendar year, but you are appreciated nonetheless. I'm Jose Sosaya in the Wave Now studio as another opportunity to sort of break down the day's top stories, things we've been following, some with very many chapters to continue and update you on, some breaking news stories and things we want to follow up and let you know what we've been able to confirm and figure out on our own end. We're going to begin with a set of stories, and it kind of all goes back to an investigation that's already wrapped up. But the context is LMPD letting us know and confirming this was the case, that they have disciplined 3 of their own employees after doing their own investigation into what's called their flock camera system and the searches that are allowed. So LMPD says what they discovered was a violation of their own policy, and this had to do with someone using the system to search for immigration-related matters within the department's own cameras. So we'll read you part of the quotes that the department sent today, but for some background, if you aren't familiar with what flock cameras do, so they do sense motion. They're motion sensing cameras. They'll take photos of a car as they drive by wherever they're placed. That in turn can create a database for police if they ever did need to go search for a car that they might be looking for an investigation. So LMPD has been rolling these out as part of a system around Louisville since 2022. In a statement they just sent today, LMPD revealing one of their detectives, Wesley Troutman, shared his login to the system with an agent for the DEA for an investigation they were working on together before 2025. Now, the department leadership says this same agent used Detective Troutman's credentials without him knowing to search the system for, quote, immigration-related terms between this past February and March. LMPD says Troutman, one, was disciplined for sharing the password, but there were 2 more decisions they made, and these pertain to the other employees involved. So they tell us, number 2, that lieutenant in the department, Jeremy Gruoff, was disciplined for providing the wrong guidance to the detective, and that then assistant chief Nick Owen was demoted for failing to follow direct orders and not giving relevant information to the current chief, Paul Humphrey. LMPD says since then, or wrapping up this investigation into what was used in the flock system, the department has put in some safeguards to try to prevent this from happening again. And they're also revising their own internal immigration policies for what is or is not allowed in the searches. In an update to this investigation, our Logan Perrone was doing some of the work earlier to start the week, but this goes back to a case. And the update here is that a second teen was arrested. This is where 2 people were found shot in an alley just before Thanksgiving in the Jacobs neighborhood here in Louisville. So, yeah, the November 25th near Craig and Wheeler Avenue, LMPD saying a 15-year-old has been arrested, connected to the incident. And since they're a minor, they don't share their names. What authorities can't tell us is they're charging this teen with assault. And another 15-year-old was arrested earlier in December facing similar charges. And the victims in this shooting have been treated. They survived and are expected to actually recover. Now, what had something else that our Logan Perrone was working on was just some data relating to a crash on Preston Highway. We let you all know when it was breaking news that unfortunately 2 people were killed, The second person to have died happened a little bit later, but a third person hurt just south of the Gene Snyder Friday night. This was just this afternoon. The Jefferson County coroner releasing the name of one of the victims. It was the motorcycle driver at Preston and Maple Spring Drive, 27-year-old Austin Anderson. He died. Though we wanted to take a dive into some of the crash data at the intersection. These are some of the numbers that we were able to look at, and there seems to be some correlation between there's new business and building development nearby and the number of crashes. So if you include what happened Friday, KSP data show there have been 12 crashes with 2 deaths and 1 injury at this specific intersection, Preston and Maple Spring Drive, in 2025. Last year, there were 15 of these cases that applied and 2 injuries. However, from 2020 to 2023, the intersection only averaged 4 crashes a year. The number of stores in the area have grown significantly, though, at the same time as this increase in crashes. We know, for example, Thornton's and a Chick-fil-A opened in 2023. Then there was a 7 Brew and a car wash in 2024 for reference. This year, Kentucky's first Wawa open basically along this intersection in the corridor this past July. And on the other side of Preston Highway, you're probably familiar if you just drive by this part of town quite often. On the other side, there's a property group that has plans for a 174-unit apartment complex that's supposed to open its first building late next year. We did reach out to KYTC to find out if the property group requested a traffic signal be installed and if the intersection has been reviewed for a study or what benefits that traffic signal would provide. We have not yet heard back, but when we do, we'll let you know what they will comment. For Hoosier drivers, the deadline's approaching to update your registration if you've changed the color of your car recently. This update is because of a new law which the governor signed earlier this year, the Senate Enrolled Act 331. So it's actually starting on Thursday. It requires you to notify the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, the BMV, of any changes you've done, and that includes color changes and the addition or removal of your vinyl vehicle wrap. You'll have, in turn, 30 days to update the changes to avoid a warning from police. And if you change your car color, it was used to commit a crime, the BMV was not notified, you could then be charged with a misdemeanor. You can record updates online or by going to a BMV branch. As something to let you all know what we're working on for tonight, which we are doing another special live stream on our social media channels and on the app for Wave News at 11. But just to let you know what is something we're working on to share with you in our original reporting. Staff at an agency in Southern Indiana, their general mission is to help clients live as independently as they can in their, golden years, their older citizens, for as long as they can feel. But the agency says their hands are tied right now after a state program went into effect last year. And their argument is that their clients have been left to find resources themselves. And that has been challenging in its own right. So this is something our Wave News reporter, Julia Richardson, has been working on today. Talked to one of those clients about the situation they're in. We're going to have her story coming up, as well as our Meredith Lee's investigation, checking in with LMDC about its current work conditions, trying to hire more employees as they're able to sort of fill the gaps that they need to do the job as best as they can out on the shifts. And in another story we're sticking with in Southern Indiana, it's the Avenues Recovery Center in Clarksville. They've just wrapped up their major expansion, dozens of new beds expected to help more people suffering from addiction and trying to reduce the wait times for them to be treated is the ultimate goal. Wave News reporter David Mattingly takes a look inside the new facility and gives us the walkthrough.
An announcement of 48 new beds may not sound like a big deal, but it is when you consider that those beds will be helping to save lives.
And over here, we have a couple client rooms you guys can peek into.
It's a time to show off before the real work begins. A tour of Avenues Recovery Center in Clarksville reveals how it has grown in preparation for people suffering from addiction in 2026.
We see everything, anything from fentanyl to methamphetamine to alcohol.
These rooms, these beds, these hallways will be where people come to turn their lives around. 48 new beds added to existing facilities means on any given day, 48 more patients will find the help they need. This is especially significant for women.
Statistically speaking, there's less beds for women. A lot of times women seek treatment less because of children or childcare concerns, pregnancy. A lot of places don't take women who are pregnant. We do to a certain gestation.
We found one former patient who now works for Avenues. For years, Kristen Foster was homeless and addicted to meth. After getting arrested, she completed her recovery and eventually got hired. She's been on the job now for 3 years.
And now I'm a homeowner, so I can't thank Avenues enough. And I come in here every day grateful and look forward to helping the next person.
And these beds will be full in no time. New patients desperate to escape addiction and seeking recovery. Not everyone will find it. This facility reports 58% of the people who check in here complete the program. They say that's 37% higher than the national average. In Clarksville, David Mattingly, Wave News.
By the way, all kinds of stories that you can follow up on, and we'll continue to follow up on. But for full reports that you can always check back in and refer to, that's all there for you at your fingertips on wave3.com or on the Wave News app as well. We're going to take a quick break to reset and bring you some more stories coming up after these messages and this little bit of a break graphic we do have. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back into this live stream of Wave News Extra here in the Now studio. Just an update from Kentucky State Police since they're investigating now a deadly crash out in Breckinridge County. It happened yesterday evening near the 4-mile marker on Kentucky 79, which is around the Rough River Dam. KSP informing that Justin Nance, 42-year-old Nance, crossed the center line, hitting a Jeep head-on, and Nance died at the scene. The driver and passenger inside of that Jeep were taken to U of L Hospital with serious injuries. As we bring you back here inside the Now studio and going through some more of today's stories we want to break down and share with you. Authorities lifted a shelter-in-place order for a town in southern Kentucky after a train derailed in Todd County. One of the big stories of the day, with images to show you just the scale of what a mess this all was. Now, for reference, this is a town, and for Todd County, we're talking this is a place between Hopkinsville and Russellville. And let's get right to some of that video to share with you. In addition to what was a shelter-in-place, residents in Trenton were also asked to turn off their heating, their air units for several hours this morning. One of these 31 derailed cars on the train was carrying molten sulfur. So on its own, that's a chemical that produces sulfur dioxide gas. Both of these orders for the public were lifted just before noon. The derailment happened outside of town, and leaders say they're thankful that no one was hurt, that no injuries were reported.
And we're very, very thankful that this incident happened approximately a mile west of here from downtown Trenton. Trenton's a small community, but had the event happened right here, it could have been catastrophic. So there, as far as I know, no injuries to report, just mainly some damage to some land.
Now, officials say that molten sulfur shouldn't cause any long-term negative impacts environmentally. They say CSX, which is the company involved, they're going to remove all the material that spilled over and then replace the dirt that was contaminated with good dirt. They say that process, in fact, has already started. And some more updates, and we're going across Kentucky here for a bit of the news of the Commonwealth that stood out to us. Facebook Marketplace, a commonplace platform interface where you could buy things online, trade if you want to. But this is the case of a Kentucky man now behind bars because he pulled a gun out on someone during one of these exchanges through Facebook Marketplace. This happened in Richmond Sunday when Jaden Carter apparently met somebody to exchange cars. Police say during a test drive, Carter pulled a gun out, telling the victims to get out of that vehicle. Carter drove off with the stolen car and then crashed and ran from the crash scene itself. Now, during this chase, officers say Carter fired a gun. Nobody was hit by it, whatever bullet was fired. Carter, as of last check, still faces multiple charges that include carjacking, assault, as well as wanton endangerment. Coming back to downtown Louisville, there's a progress report out for its growth over the course of 2025. The Louisville Downtown Partnership says this year's ending on a high note, on a sweet note, as they put it. Since new projects are already in the works, 20 of these were finished with a total investment of $355 million for downtown. And that is up significantly. If you look at this year's number of $355 million, as the partnership put it, that's up from $76 million the year prior. And that included securing 8 companies relocating to the heart of the metro, with 3 additional ones, leaders say, on the way.
CAQH, which is a Washington, D.C. based company, but their headquarters is now in Louisville. They're new to Louisville and new to downtown. Fabricated Metals came from near the airport to 4th and Chestnut. Silico Capitals on Main Street and Whiskey Row, they're new. And Steptoe and Johnson came from the suburbs. They're now at the PNC Tower.
And housing, as the partnership pointed out, they say also saw an increase of more than 700 residential units built, completely finished this year, and just over 2,500 that are still in the process underway to be eventually finished. Crossing over just on the other side of the Ohio River, heading to southern Indiana, a fire very early this morning destroyed a pretty popular restaurant, Clucker's on the riverfront. Caught fire. Nobody was hurt. What the mystery is now is what could have started all this. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote from this morning did have more to share with us, so you could see the images for yourself.
The fire engulfed the entire building in flames, and now all that's left is a pile of rubble. It's hard to even see what's behind me here, make out what it is. There's some sheet metal that's bent and broken, and some wood that you can tell was an old wooden chair. But again, this Clucker's restaurant here in Jeffersonville now just brought to the ground as a pile of rubble. Now, Jeffersonville Fire tells us that they got a call just before 1:30 about a trash fire. When they got here, though, they quickly realized that the building was also on fire. A neighbor and a viewer sent us some dramatic video showing the entire building engulfed in flames. Firefighters had to battle not only the flames, but frigid temperatures and winds, which they say did not work in their favor. In the end, though, a well-known restaurant here on the waterfront is completely changed forever, which brought out residents like Lisa Cobb to take a look for herself.
So, we just had to come down and see it because something has been here as a restaurant for as long as I can remember, and I was born here. So it's just really a tragedy that it happened. So I'm probably morbid to see it, but you don't see things burn completely to the ground very often. So I just thought I'd come and see what it looked like. And it's very sad to see.
Jeffersonville Fire also tells us that all the employees were out of the restaurant by 10:30 last night, which is several hours before the fire started. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. The exact cause of the fire is under investigation, and once we learn more, we'll be sure to keep you updated. Reporting in Jeffersonville, Indiana, Kirsten Foote, Wave News.
Coming back to the other side of the river and the Commonwealth, $7.25. We know that's the federal minimum wage. That's also the case for the minimum wage across Kentucky. Several states have voted or held referendum. Legislators have approved those minimum floors being raised already, and several states are going to do that, their own respective numbers starting January 1st. Kentucky's, again, following the federal bare minimum is staying the same. But one lawmaker says he's going to try to change that in the upcoming legislative session that is, just around the corner very soon. Reporter Jackson Plank has this story about the persuasion and the pitch that this lawmaker is trying to make.
When the clock strikes midnight on New Year's Eve, Kentucky will have several new laws on the books, but not on the list any legislation surrounding minimum wage.
I think raising the minimum wage makes sense for the people of the Commonwealth and for the common working man.
State Representative George Brown has represented a portion of Lexington since 2015. Brown says that when the Kentucky legislative session begins in January, he will work to raise the state's minimum wage.
People are still trying to live in 2025 off a minimum wage that was put in place in the early 2000s.
What does Brown think is a good minimum wage? Well above where it currently sits.
At least $15, $15.50, $16 an hour. It only would make sense.
In July, the Kentucky Center for Economic Policy released a report saying the current $7.25 an hour minimum wage is a 75-year low in purchasing power. During an interview with WKYT in August, they told us that inaction has put workers behind.
Now, for the first time in our history, a full-time minimum wage worker who works year-round would earn below the poverty level.
At the same time, Brown acknowledges it will be an uphill battle trying to get a bill passed next year, but he says it is a battle he wants to take on.
Legislation is always a struggle, particularly if you're in the minority, which is where we find ourselves. We're in the minority party.
WKYT reached out to both the Kentucky GOP and Kentucky House Republicans for comment. We are still waiting to hear back. Reporting in Lexington, Jackson Plank, WKYT.
And our partners out in Lexington did refer back to a statement they had this August in a conversation confirmed with State Republican Senator Matt Nunn of Sadieville. He did send a statement to our partners about why he argued the minimum wage should not be increased. In that quote that Senator Nunn had sent, saying, quote, "The market should determine wages as it already does. The market-driven minimum wage is well above the current state statutory minimum wage, setting a one-size-fits-all minimum wage across a diverse Commonwealth from Pikeville to Paducah, Covington to Corbin would not be wise," end quote. And so that coming from our partners to share, the response as State Senator Brown making that pitch for what he would try to support and put up a bill for the vote coming up in the legislative session. All right. Almost 8:38. We're going to take another break to reset for the last round of stories to share with you on this live stream. Always appreciate you, by the way, connecting with us on the Wave Now app or on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. Make sure to follow us if you haven't already done so. And this is just another avenue to make sure that we can connect with you and share the stories of what's going on in all our neck of the woods at any given day as we continue to work. All right, we'll take a quick break and be right back. 8:40, everyone, and another live check from our SkyTrack downtown camera, enjoying the holiday lights, and can't help but stare at the number there at the bottom of your screen on the graphic of the 28 degrees. Hopefully you're inside, or at least quite bundled up, as we're going to discuss what's in store for us as we round out 2025, heading into 2026. Hope you join us for our live stream newscast at 11. Meteorologist Ryan Hoke going to break down exactly what's in store for us as we wake up tomorrow, looking ahead to rounding out closer to the weekend and the 10-day forecast and beyond, just letting us know where we fall in the ebbs and flows of the cold, as very much winter does set in. And the last round of stories we have for you tonight: police in a northern Kentucky city say they're starting a new partnership to help people who might be in crisis situations. So you see, that's Alexandria Police. They're partnering with the 911 cell phone bank. So this is to help people in serious situations if maybe they're a victim of domestic violence and they've had their cell phone destroyed. Well, that can often times leave a victim without a way to contact police when they need help. So this initiative is providing phones to at least 5 people across northern Kentucky each year since its launch. The captain involved with the police department saying the program also helps victims who have to surrender their phones as evidence in criminal cases. And there's much more information you can read up on this, about connecting to someone who could see if you qualify, or how the process could all start online with our website. And certainly those resources can help out as well. All right. Elsewhere in Kentucky, new court filings in the case against former Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins. Remember, he's accused of shooting and killing a judge, Kevin Mullins, last year. Well, yesterday, his defense filed a motion trying to disqualify the judge that is presiding over his case. They claim that a week before the shooting happened, that this judge they're trying to remove and Kevin Mullins both went to a meeting of the Kentucky Judicial Commission on Mental Health. And the video shows them sitting next to each other or being near each other the entire time. The defense says this video was just recently brought to their attention. What comes of it and the motion, we're not sure, because we're waiting to see what that is going to be. And the defense's arguments, as we know, they're also planning to use an insanity defense, arguing that their client was extremely emotionally disturbed. This is a story that's got a lot of twists and turns, and something we'll continue to follow up on and share with you as we get those updates. Send push alerts, by the way, to your phones. Coming back here into our Wave Now studio, a man was arrested just last week because police say he made threats toward officers and also the man who is accused, in custody, set to stand trial for his fiance's death. Now, his name may be familiar to you if we remember, or you remember the story we're talking about. So his name is Caleb Thompson, and he's been charged with third-degree terroristic threatening. This happened Friday. They say this started after a report that a man was causing problems at a Red Roof Inn in Winchester. Thompson was accused of trespassing after a hotel clerk did not even allow him to rent a room, and then called police. An arrest report that we've looked at a copy at says Thompson asked for a call back from police where he threatened an officer and a man whose name will be important to remember is Brian Epperson. There was also a video posted on Facebook where the threats continued. So that was the case for Caleb Thompson. But going back to the other name I mentioned, and we'll show you a picture here of Brian Epperson, he's still facing 2 federal counts of distributing meth that caused overdose deaths. And that includes the death of Caleb Thompson's fiancée, Rochelle Dawson, who's from Louisville. She died in late June. Police say she died at that same Red Roof Inn hotel, found with a lethal dose of meth in her system, where Thompson went. Epperson could face 20 years to life in prison if he's convicted. He also faces a state murder charge in Powell County. He's been linked to other women who've died following interacting with him at all. Epperson's trial is set to start February 2nd. As for Thompson, he's was taken to the Lee County Jail, served with 3 separate warrants for terroristic threatening. And a bit of a different switch, and we're going to end the night with sort of preparing for the year ahead for 2026. This is going to be starting with our Watching Your Wallet series on the consumer side of things for resolutions, financial New Year's resolutions. Many of you might be starting to make those lists already. Well, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa talked to a bankruptcy expert about how to set yourself up for success financially in the year ahead.
As you're making goals for 2026, make sure you review the goals you set for yourself in 2025. Leslie Tain, a debt relief attorney with years of experience, says it's important to revisit your goals from last year and whether you accomplish them so you can learn what to do differently this year.
This way you can set up a similar situation for success this year. Perhaps you want to put more money into savings, or this year, since interest rates are down, you might want to do a different type of investment vehicle other than a short-term savings account. Maybe you didn't put as much money as you'd like to put away in savings, and this year it's more important than ever to put money away.
Tane says, look at your budget for the upcoming year and make specific money goals so you have a real narrow vision of what you need to accomplish.
The more detailed you can get, the better you are off being successful with that. Because if you leave it general, I just want to save, but you didn't set yourself a roadmap, how much money, how often, where you're putting it, will make it more difficult to stick to the plan. So be really specific when it comes to goals.
She says, automate your savings, have it come out of your paycheck every week or every other week. Set up a separate account for that money to go into. If you're getting bonuses, put some of that money away too into that separate account. It will help you reach your savings goals for the year faster. With this Watch in Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
And as we round out the night is going to be with our own segment we want to share with you. And it can be extremely stressful talking, of course, about finances, but also when you might need medical care or you're having to make the decision about where can I cut costs in order to afford pretty expensive medication. Your health insurer denies what your physician may have ordered is something you need. So what do you do? What you wouldn't want to do is give up if when your doctor says that's care that's going to make a difference in your life, that you still argue vehemently on your own behalf. In this segment, the thinking is a lot of folks will skip appointments or not take certain medicine because they feel they can't afford those copays or deductibles, and then throw in maybe a denied claim. It could feel like you're going to have a medical meltdown. Well, Wave News anchor Dawn G had a chance to sit down with a founder CEO of a company working every day to make healthcare payments frictionless. And here is what Dawn and this company had to discuss.
Roughly 20% of claims get denied, which is a lot in healthcare. That's about $20 billion.
Roshan Patel is the CEO and founder of Arrow, a healthcare payment platform that provides solutions for both healthcare providers and health plans. Patel shares consumer information on the surge of denials, common rejection reasons, quick fixes for these common reasons, and how consumers can help resolve them.
But as a patient, you have several things you can do.
It starts with communication with your medical provider, your doctor's office.
So when a claim is denied, it's actually on the doctor's office. It's their responsibility to correct or appeal that claim.
You may not be the one actually submitting the appeal to your insurer, but you do not totally disconnect from the responsibility to get the problem solved. You must always be your biggest advocate.
The first thing you can do is ask your doctor for an itemized bill. So that'll lay out exactly what services or procedures were rendered, and you can double check to make sure those were correct.
Issues of denial and non-payment can happen for many reasons. Lack of prior authorization, service considered not medically necessary, out of network, a simple click of the wrong button, or missing or incorrect information, to name a few. Appeal. Don't immediately accept the notice that your insurer won't pay the bill. According to healthcare.gov, you generally have 180 days from the denial notice to file an internal appeal, but this can vary.
And then you can call your insurance company and find out why was the claim denied and what can be done. Medical debt is the largest category of debt in collections. So it's a major factor for poverty in this country.
There is good news. Laws containing medical debt have changed. Medical collections under $500 no longer appear on credit reports. Paid off medical debt is removed from credit histories altogether. Major credit scoring models now weigh unpaid medical debt less heavily.
Some hospitals have programs where if you're below certain income thresholds, they have financial aid or even bill forgiveness. Every bill that you receive is up for negotiation. So you can either get on a payment plan or settle for a lower amount.
And our thanks to Dawn G for putting all that together, and important consumer tips to have at your fingertips should you ever have to make that appeal on your own behalf. In her reporting, Dawn mentioned there's a study by the American Journal of Public Health saying as many as 66.5% of people in the U.S. who file for bankruptcy blame medical bills as the primary cause for them having to take this pretty drastic step. So knowing that, just make sure you know what your policy, your own specific medical insurance policy offers, and carefully fill out information asked of you when filling out papers. When you do need medical care, don't be afraid to ask your provider questions before the claim is submitted. And if the claim has been denied, more than anything, as much as possible, also trying to be a healthier you. Do not be afraid to ask those questions. You can find Dawn's full reporting on wave3.com, which is where we're going to show you here. In fact, right here, you can see it. Medical claim denials rising, what consumers should know. It's about making sure you know what to do should you ever find yourself in that situation. It's the same with the stories of our special series, investigations, troubleshooters, breaking news, all there at your fingertips, updated as soon as we can get that information confirmed and up to the website. Thanks to our digital team, wave3.com, an excellent resource for you. And also another way to connect with us, whether that's through also on your smart TV devices with the Wave Now app, on social media, and then downloading the free Wave News and Wave Weather app. Excellent to make sure you're staying on top of our ability to share that information with you. All right, before we go, everyone, a reminder that as the NBA on NBC is still playing tonight and NBA on Peacock, we're going to live stream our newscast and share that with you as far as our original reporting and what we've been working on, the news of the day, what's going on here in our community. Appreciate your time. It is 8:52. We will see you back here. I'm trying to think. It is December 30th, so it might be a special edition of our Wave News Extra live stream on December 31st. And we'll let you know over the course of the day that we're also going to have a bit of an earlier newscast tomorrow night starting at 10 p.m. What would be Wave News at 11 is going to be Wave News technically at 10. As we then prepare for the countdown and the new year, we will all be there to welcome it. All right, folks, this is going to do it for us. We'll see you back here soon. Until then, take care.